3, 2, 1. Hello.
Welcome to Background Noise. This is a podcast about literally anything and can be listened to while you're doing literally anything.
We're just two best friends who love to talk. My name is Eric.
My name is Kaysee. We're still a little new to this whole podcast thing, so we're going to be a little weird.
But we're weird anyway.
We both love background noise while doing homework,
Cleaning,
cooking,
showering,
and going to sleep.
just to name a handful.
So if you'd like to listen for background noise or pay really close attention,
Do whatever feels comfortable to you.
for this episode, we are talking about scary stories, and some of them may have blood and death mentioned in them, and we just want to...
Put in a trigger warning. Nothing too bad, but we understand if it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Today's podcast, we're going to talk about some scary stories. All of the stories that we found today are on the subreddit True Scary Stories. The first story we are going to be sharing is called The Haunted Cabin Behind My House. The user who wrote this doesn't have an account anymore, so I can't give them credit. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a relatively old story that my dad has told me a few times over the years, but with Halloween coming up, it's been on my mind again. I myself have never been able to witness the house through the description I've been given by multiple men. 20-something years after seeing it gave me a very vivid mental image. To begin, I would like to mention that my father is a highly religious man and does not believe in ghosts or anything paranormal in the slightest. Nothing seems to spook him either, but he still swears up and down that he felt something unnatural that scared the crap out of him, even just for mentioning a story to me on the rare occasion he would bring it up. Back in the late 80s, he and a few friends would regularly hike over the waterfall / creek bed behind our farm and would allow the trails would follow the trails up until they eventually met the frontage road off of the interstate. Well, one night they decided to take a different route to go around the backside of another farmer's land, mostly to see the animals because they owned emus and other large pets that weren't common in the local area. Supposedly, after leaving the area and continuing into the woods, at night, of all wonderful times, they managed to stumble upon what is described by all 5 men as a Blair Witch look-alike house. It was a very, very old home, and my dad claims that just looking at it gave him this ominous feeling. But of course, they had to go inside and check it out.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
You see this weird, creepy old house. Why would you go inside?
I have no clue. I would see that and I would run.
Yeah, I'd literally turn back, go home.
Yeah, I wouldn't be walking through the woods at night at all, though.
Yeah.
There's no chance.
No chance in my life.
Mm-mm. Inside the house was a vintage cottage-style home that was probably built in the late 40s or early 50s, and the group was instantly met with writing and symbols in strange Latin-like languages.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, it's like sounds satanic, and literally the next line, with a few English graffiti pieces that quoted a supposed satanic or pagan worshipping ritual, with certain pieces describing how to sacrifice a human soul to some supposedly demonic deity.
I hate that.
Oh my gosh. My father still claims to this day that certain symbols were painted on the walls in blood, while others were clearly spray painted. And I find it easier to believe because he also worked as a firefighter for years before this happened, and had a lot of experience with having to see human blood and dismembered bodies on the freeway after car accidents. Past the small living / kitchen area was a stairwell that was so small that their shoulders would physically brush either side of the wall, so they went up and the stairs went straight, stopping at a small landing that turned right, so as you started up, you could not see what would be standing at the top.
No. Why would
Okay.
you go up?
I don't know. I would see stairs. First of all, I really wouldn't be in the building at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I'm not
either.
kidding when I said that. I could not go inside. First of all,
I'd be like...
isn't that trespassing?
Yeah. And why was the door open?
I don't know.
Unlocked.
Ugh. Yeah.
It doesn't say it's unlocked,
but it clearly was. I
Yeah.
imagine they did. If he was a firefighter, I can't imagine he just broke in.
Yeah. If he's a firefighter, why is he going in at all?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, what a...
People.
He was a teenager, right? They're in their 20s. I don't know.
Yeah, they're in their 20s. People in their 20s are dumb.
Yeah. It's not me.
Not us. All right, okay. So yeah, they can't see up at the top of the stairs. So that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of the stairs, a door led to a large attic-styled bedroom where actual chain manacles and locks hung from one of the walls near a circular window at the end of the room, which was also completely covered in weird symbols, graffiti, and now more obvious and frightening large dried puddles of blood that had seeped into the floors and walls.
Oh no.
Allegedly, once they were upstairs investigating the room, they swear they heard something moving up the stairwell behind them quickly. But when they looked back, there was no one there. Everyone essentially told me that it sounded almost like heels clacking on wood. And now, completely spooked, they rushed back down the stairs to see if someone was playing a prank on them and was hiding. Surprise, surprise, they found nothing, and no new footprints in the dust and grime differed from the ones they left on their way in. So no,
Oh my god.
nothing physical was there, at least.
Ew. I'm not liking this.
This is scary. I love it. To keep things interesting, I met with each of the guys separately to ask them about what they remembered, expecting to maybe find a crack or something to prove that maybe they were exaggerating. But when I asked them, I got the same answer from each of them with no hesitation. Interesting. They got the same details right down to the minute that they entered the house and the minute they left, but here's where it gets really strange. They left the house and for some unknown reason decided to try walking back from a different route, using a compass to approach from the east instead of the south.
Why? Why would you go a random route you've never gone before?
I have no idea.
I'd be so freaked out.
No, I wouldn't even... Why were they... What was the reason they were walking through the woods? Do you remember? I don't
The animals.
Okay, but just go on the normal path.
I know.
They did this test more than 10 times that night, walking from every possible route or direction, yet they always came out at the front entrance of the house.
No,
even when
you're
the compass
kidding me.
and common knowledge of the area showed it was physically impossible to be at the south end of the house. So they always ended up in the same place, even though it didn't make any sense. No.
No way.
Ew.
Ew.
That's creepy. Okay. There probably is some scientific explanation for it, but I haven't found one yet. These guys knew those woods literally like the back of their hand and still do to this day. The final time that the guys came back and found themselves standing at the front door of the house, they began to feel physically ill, verging on feverish, and finally decide it's time to give up. One of them nearly faints. As they turn to leave, the man who nearly fainted turns, looks up, and points at the circular window at the front of the house on the second story. Everyone looks and immediately sees a tall female figure hunched over, standing in the window watching them. Even though they see no features on her face other than two large dark-colored eyes, and it sort of shuffled in place slightly before turning and walking away as if it were heading to the stairs at the end of the room.
No.
At the sight of the figure actually moving, they all took off running through the woods, ending up on the side of the interstate about 3 miles from my dad's house, where they originally started from. They eventually made it back to my dad's place, though they claimed they felt as if someone were following them the entire way. And my dad's cousin gets up to get some water from the kitchen, only to announce that he swore he saw the same figure standing outside of the kitchen window near the edge of the woods, close to their wood shed.
Ew, no way.
Thankfully, nothing ever came from the experience again, other than a collective state of absolute terror when the subject is brought up. They wrote off what his cousin saw as paranoia, though 5 years later they decided to return to see if the house was still standing. Miraculously, it had fallen in on itself and was nothing more than a pile of rubble, and they never went back. I always joked with my dad and would ask him what he would do if he went back and found the house standing the same way it had been, trying to give him a reason to let me go and see the place for myself. But with trespassing laws being far more prevalent in today's times, it would be nearly impossible without getting shot or going to jail, as it was not on our property. I don't know. It gives me the creeps thinking about it, but I never considered the story to be true until I did this little mock interview with all of the guys. And when I say that these grown men are scared to death by the story, I mean it. Seeing them get physically worked up and frightened by just telling their story really caused me to be less of a skeptic.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I did not, I was getting freaked out just from the story.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. Whatever it was, I think was probably not, clearly was not a person. Because why would... I think something was trying to get them to stay there. Because why did they keep ending up at the same place?
Ew.
They would leave and try and come back from a different direction and would still always end up at the front door.
Yeah.
Every time. They'd come from the east and somehow end up on the south.
Using a compass.
And maps.
That's so weird.
That's so creepy. Here's one of the comments. I think there are things we cannot explain. Oh, for sure. But this is definitely one, because what is that?
I don't even know.
I don't know. I just, wonder what... wonder what happened.
I know. I just
Oh,
don't
it's just
like
so
it.
creepy. I don't
It's so weird.
want
Creepy.
that. I don't want that. I mean, I'm gonna forget about it in about 2 minutes. But it's creepy. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think it was? What do you think happened there? Do you think that was like that a female figure they saw? Because remember they said they heard heels too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think it was somebody who like killed people and they just somehow found the house?
I don't even know.
Because there's puddles of blood and like
dried up.
dried up. Oh yeah, they said
It was
soaked
super
through,
cold.
which means it's been there for a long time. I imagine.
Or whoever it was killed so many people there, it just kept soaking through.
True. Ew.
Ew, I don't like that.
Okay.
Okay.
I did like hearing that, though.
It was interesting.
I mean, it's interesting
Like,
and
that's so
creepy, but I
creepy.
cannot imagine that happening to me. I would
I know.
pass away.
I would, right then and there.
Right, yep.
Heart attack.
Heart attack, anxiety attack,
Everything of
panic
attacks.
die, all of those.
I could not fall asleep.
No, oh no, it would take me days.
I know, like, staying up, like, in my room, like...
I need someone to, like, be next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, Mom,
I'm gonna sleep with you
I'm
guys.
gonna sleep in your room.
That's
Oh
funny.
my gosh, that's so funny. All right, ready for the next story?
Mm-hmm. All right, our next story has a super long, complicated title that's not English, so I'm going to shorten it to Alexa Hears Things That Are Not There. And it's posted by Sage the Crow. Let's get into it.
All right.
I was sitting on my bed with my computer watching a movie when suddenly my Alexa activated, listening in the opposite direction of my bed. My headphones are connected to the computer, so there couldn't have been anything that triggered it. I took my headphones out immediately and listened. My mom had her show paused on the living room TV, and I could hear her in the kitchen making toast. It's not unusual for her to make toast before she goes to bed. Anyways, my Alexa has activated for some reason, and I can tell she's listening to something. She deactivated after about 30 seconds of listening, and I went to ask her to turn on my lights. She kept saying, "My light isn't responding," and to check its power supply. I got a little freaked out and used my computer light to see. Since it wasn't too bright, I couldn't see much, but something moved. Which, this reminds me of this, like, post I saw, and it's, like, about, you know how when you're alone, you talk out loud?
Mm-hmm.
It's because, like, you're not really alone.
Ew.
I know.
I don't like that.
It just reminded me of that.
That's too much. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Next, I don't want that.
I scrambled out of my bed and to the light switch. It wasn't on. I flicked it on and it didn't work. I did it over and over and it refused to work. I couldn't leave my room without a mask because my parents had COVID, which I'm saying if your light's not working, just leave. And you're living with them,
Yeah.
you're bound to just get it.
I know.
Even with a mask, you know what I mean?
True. I did, although, to be fair, when my parents had COVID, I stayed in my room and I didn't get it.
Well, that's good,
But they also got it while I was gone, so, like, by the time I got back, they weren't technically still contagious, but it could have been, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
But, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
I would have just left if I was scared.
I know.
What, are they right outside your room? Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, my mask was not on the door handle. I took the wooden sword next to my bed and held it in my hand as I flipped the lights up and down repeatedly. Slowly, fast, and it didn't work. When it finally turned on and was shaking to no end, and there was, I think it meant I was shaking to no end.
Oh, yeah.
And there was nothing there. I grabbed my phone, which was on the floor somehow, and I turned on the flash. So is the light on or not? I don't know.
Wait, it sounds like it was on.
And I
Because
turned
it
the
said
flash
it finally
on
turned
as well.
on and then turned your flashlight on?
I don't know.
Okay.
Looking around, there was nothing. Not a single trace of someone or something in my room except my Xbox controller on the floor, knocked off its charger. It was late, so I didn't sleep that night. I kept my phone and wooden sword next to me under the covers and held tight in my hands. I rule out the possibility of an intruder because my mom and I are home all the time. My dad is too because it is Christmas break and he has COVID. No one could possibly get in without being seen in my small home. I've had more than one encounter with odd experiences or occurrences in the same house, and this was by far the scariest.
Interesting.
I know, but like in the dark though, I feel like you just make things out. I mean, I'm not like trying to.
Yeah, because your brain is like, okay, I can't really see things, and you hear a sound, and immediately you're like, oh, there's someone in my house.
Yeah.
Because I've done that all the time.
Yeah, I have
like
to.
I hear noises, or I've been watching something scary, and I like go upstairs, and like someone's behind my counter.
Especially in the dark.
Like still.
And in like your room, and you're laying in the dark, and you have like a hoodie draped something. It looks like a person.
Yes.
'Cause your brain just. Yeah. I'm just saying like, and I swore that like that thing moved, but then I'm like, there's no possible way. It's just my hoodie or some article of clothing.
Yeah,
I feel like this is an experience like that.
Probably. But I wish, though, they had gone more into what their other occurrences were, though. Because if they said they've had similar occurrences, I want to know what they are.
Yeah.
Like, I want the whole picture, but let's look and see maybe if they ever posted anything else about it. Because that would be really interesting. Oh, they post a lot on Reddit. It's going to be painful to find.
Yeah.
Okay, well. Plus, it's 2 months ago. I don't want to search through their whole thing. But.
For real. But, like, and Alexa and all those things, like, my Google, they just listen.
They trigger all the time.
Yeah.
Siri triggers all the time.
And I could be silent.
Yeah. So. I think a lot of times, though, I accidentally click a button on something, and that's a lot of times what triggers it.
Yeah.
Like, you accidentally bump your phone, and it pushes against... Have you ever done that? It pushes against the wall or in your pocket, and it's like, you just hear... At least for me, because I have an iPhone, I hear, like, the ding, like, Siri turned on, and I'm like, okay, I just bumped it.
Yeah.
Or you say a word that it's in your pocket and muffled, and it kind of thinks it hears something, so it turns on. Like, to me, that's, like, doesn't scare me, because I know they're listening, but, like, I don't think they're literally listening to everything I'm saying. I think what they're doing, because they have the trigger words.
Yeah.
Hey, Siri, or whatever. I was looking to see if Siri was going to turn on. It would have been super funny. Probably not, because we're recording. But, yeah, I think that, yeah, they're always listening, but not in the way that I think people, like, make it to be like...
Yeah, the government's listening to you.
That would not...
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't either.
But I do think that, yeah, they hear you and... But they're listening so they can catch you and say what you're saying like, when you're trying to talk to them. Exactly.
For sure.
But, yeah, that is creepy, but you're probably right. It was probably just... He probably bumped the bed.
And...
I've been in my room for... hours and something I didn't even touch just falls over because it was just like eventually it got to that point where it was just
gravity.
Like unbalanced and
gravity.
Yeah, but like even if I didn't touch it that whole day or till earlier that day, just eventually the gravity is just too heavy and it just falls and it scares you so bad.
One time in the middle of the night when I had this like whiteboard pinned to my wall with thumbtacks. And it was a small whiteboard, but like after a while, it's pulling on those thumbtacks.
Oh, for sure.
Middle of the night, falls to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm a really light sleeper. I like woke up and I'm like, what is that?
Oh
and I turn the light on and I see it on there and I'm like, oh my gosh.
But then your heart is like going a million miles an hour after, like for a while. Because again, it's like the adrenaline gets going because you're like, what is it? Oh my gosh, someone's here.
And you woke up from your sleep.
Which is just awful.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. Yeah, I hate that.
Anyway.
That was a good story.
Yeah. Should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. The next story is called My Son's Imaginary Friend Was Real. And it's by M. Koala Bear. When my son was 2 years old, he started acting as if he was interacting with someone or something that his father and I could never see. Like throwing toys down the hallway and then running away murmuring words. When I asked what he was doing, he always told me he was giving toys to the boy for him to play with. There was never anybody there, but it was always icy cold down that hallway and leading into the garage.
No.
I'd ask him what the boy's name was, and he would tell me Don was his name. I asked what the boy was doing. Waiting for his mom to pick him up, he would always reply. We put it down to an imaginary friend and nothing more. Harmless, we thought. Until he started waking up in the middle of the night screaming, Don won't let me sleep. He keeps tickling my toes.
Oh my gosh, but like, imagine, I never had an imaginary friend growing up.
Me neither.
So imaginary friends have to be a spirit or something.
Like, yeah.
A ghost.
Something there.
Because I never had an imaginary friend.
No, me neither. Not that I remember.
Yeah. But I'm like, there's no such thing as imaginary friends.
No.
It is a ghost.
Well, unless
Or
it's like Bing Bong.
Okay, yeah, but...
But not like a person, another child. I feel like imaginary friends are like
creepy.
animals.
Yeah,
and like
that makes sense. Like animals. And that's like, oh, I made this person up because I'm bored.
Yeah.
But...
And they're going to be in my adventures from now on. But when it's like another person and it's like icy cold down that hallway, like something weird is happening.
Ew. I hate that.
Me too. Okay. This sent chills down my spine, and so my son would sleep in my bed with me every night. This continued for another 6 months until the real estate notified us that the owner of the house had died and his children would be selling the property and splitting the profit between them, meaning we had to move. Okay, so they must be renting the place.
Yeah.
Then. Okay. After we left, I came across a local news article about the owner of our old rental stating how much he will be missed by the community. He had been raised by his mother in the house we were renting since he was a child. Then I noticed his name and everything came flooding back to me. His name was Don.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I just got chills. Like all over. My son's imaginary friend was our homeowner. He must have been waiting for his mother to come and take him to the other side. I'll never look at imaginary friends the same.
See?
That's so creepy. I literally like have goosebumps. Do you see that?
Oh my gosh, you really do.
I like really do.
Ooh.
Wow, that's creepy.
That is super creepy.
And I always feel like if a kid does... Okay, here's the two things where you can believe. If a dog or an animal is like acting weird, they sense things we don't.
Yep.
And children sense things adults don't.
For sure.
If it's any of those two, I really like genuinely believe it. Get out. Well, they did, fortunately. But like, that's so weird. I mean, it's not necessarily scary. It's more creepy than scary. It's not like he was at harm.
I don't think it was harmful. But it's still very creepy.
It's still very creepy. Good story. All right.
Okay.
Next story?
Yep. All right. Our next story is called House and Dog Sitting. And it's posted by SureVacation9318. In 2017, when I was 18, I was watching a friend's house and dog sitting their 2 wiener dogs and their Shepherd Lab mix. They went off to visit some family in Northern California, and they asked me if I would be interested in watching the house and the dogs for them for some extra cash for a week. I lived not too far from the home, so it wasn't a convenience at all. An inconvenience at all. I worked at the...
That was not convenient. But yeah, sure, I'll do it. Sorry, that was so funny.
I worked at the local Taco Bell while I was going to school and usually worked 1 to 9, 2 to 10, or 3 to 11. And I worked every day but one day, which was the first day. The first couple of days went smoothly. On the third day, though, I worked 1 to 9, so I got off from my shift and started to drive to their house, which was about 10 to 15 minutes away. So I was listening to music, but when I pulled up to the house, I saw the 3 dogs in the street near the driveway and the garage door open and the front door open. I stupidly parked in the driveway, gathered all the dogs, and got them back in the house because I was really scared that it was my responsibility to watch them and they could have got lost or ran over. Oh my gosh, that's creepy.
Okay, but first of all, like he was saying, like, I stupidly parked in the driveway and gathered all the dogs. He was more worried about the dogs being lost than the fact that the doors are open.
Yeah.
The front door and the garage door are wide open. I would immediately call the police. Okay,
get the dogs
here's the thing,
into
though.
the car. Go away.
I say that I would immediately call the police.
But it's not your dog, so you're not, and not your house, so you're not really...
But even at my house, I think I would at my own house. But, like, you always say, like, well, I would have, but, like, we don't know what we would have done because we weren't in that situation. Because a lot of times, when you're reading a story and you know there's something about it that's scary, you're a lot more likely to jump to the conclusion, well, I would for sure have immediately done that. In real life, I don't feel like you usually even think about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, oh, somebody forgot to shut the door. Not like that. I think that's a little bit too much. Both being open and they weren't.
And the dogs.
And the front door, not like the back door, was like slightly, like, I don't know. Anyways.
That's weird to me.
That is weird.
The home had 4 doors downstairs, 1 front door, 1 door leading to the garage, 1 kitchen side door leading to the backyard, and 1 back door leading to the backyard. All of these doors were open, including the garage door. That's Literally every single door in the house.
On the outside.
Mm-hmm.
No thanks.
No.
Why are there so many doors on the outside? 4 doors on the outside basement? Is it meaning to the outside? That's how I read that. That's a lot of doors in one house. That would creep me out.
Yeah. You have to check 10 million doors?
No.
So I quickly closed and locked all the doors so the dogs wouldn't escape. The dogs were acting normal. The 2 wiener dogs went to the couch and the lab followed me upstairs. There were 4 doors upstairs, 3 to the bedrooms and 1 to a bathroom.
Okay, so he wasn't talking about outside doors. He was saying on the main floor, inside, 4 doors were open and the front door. 1 of them was leading to the garage. 1 was the kitchen side door leading to the backyard, and 1 door from the back to the backyard. So 3 outside doors were open, and all of the doors inside the house were open too.
And the garage door.
Which is weird, because like when my family goes on a vacation, if it's more for a few days, we usually shut all of our doors to kind of like, I don't know why we do that, but it's just what we do.
But yeah.
Probably to keep like the air in and like just, I'm assuming he went, I don't know, I'm kind of confused. No, he didn't, but it also says it's the first day. So how does he know the 4 doors inside weren't already open?
No, the first day he was off, and then the second day he was off.
Oh, this is about the second day?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Oh, the 3rd day. It's not even the 2nd.
It's the 3rd day?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
So I see. So the doors, I'm assuming when he was there the day before, all the inside doors were shut, and all the outside doors were shut. Clearly, because he wouldn't have left them all open.
No.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the doors are open and they were originally closed the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, you can continue where you were at.
There were 4 doors upstairs, 3 to bedrooms and 1 to a bathroom. All of them were open, but when the family left, the parents' room door was closed, and so was my friend's door. The windows were also all opened, but only upstairs, which was extremely weird.
That's just so weird, like...
Yeah.
Is really what I meant by that. But, like, we don't leave windows open. I don't know. This is weird.
This is weird. So I called the police, and they searched the house, and no one was in there, and everything seemed to be okay. The rest of my stay was quiet, and nothing happened. When the family got back, they checked the house, and nothing had been stolen. To this day, I am still not only upset about my stupidness, it could have gone so different, and also I am creeped out by why all the doors being opened, which seemed weird to the cops as well, because during break-ins, usually 1 or 2 doors are open, not every single door, and upstairs windows.
Yeah.
That is so
A
weird.
lot of stuff about that's just super strange.
That's the weirdest thing ever. And then, like, it's just a super weird story. It's not really that scary.
No, it's just...
That's creepy to happen to you if it were to happen to you.
For sure. If somebody ever told me that, like, themselves. What were, like, some of, like, the comments? Were there any, like, good comments? Wonder if some kids thought it would be a good prank. How do you prank that?
Yeah.
You don't leave your doors unlocked. When you're not... Especially when you're not home.
Someone was like, well, I'm glad the animals are safe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree, but, like...
Pretty wild. I assume the family hasn't experienced weird stuff themselves. Maybe it's something interested in you.
Not some demon or some ghost.
Yeah, that's just a super weird story.
That is scary. I would hate that if I came home to my house and all my doors would open. I'd for sure call the police.
Definitely.
Immediately. I wouldn't go inside. Unless people, like my family was home.
Yeah.
I'd still probably be calling
I'd be
the
weird
police.
because...
I don't know. What would you do if you came home, like, you were just you, and the garage doors were wide open, all the front doors were open, the windows were open?
I'm just saying, I don't think I'd go inside.
But if you knew your family was inside, what do you do?
I don't even know. I
Like,
don't know what I would do.
But I don't think I would just leave. But you can't really just stand outside.
But I'm not gonna just go inside.
I would call the police and then maybe grab something and go inside. Or
I don't think I'd
I'd go to my neighbor's house. Say, please help me. I'd run to all my neighbors while I'm calling the police. Round them up. Let's go inside and see what's happening.
A horde of people, police.
It's like I never talk to my neighbors, but today I am.
That's funny. Okay.
Next story?
Yep.
Okay. All right. The next story is called Always Shut Your Garage Door by That Random 989. When I was about 15 to 16, I went on a small bike/walking trip with my family. My family all wanted to go outside, but my mom and sister wanted to talk while my dad and I were on bikes. We were gone for at least an hour and 30 minutes when I said I would head home first. I had my keys on me, so getting back into my house was no issue. I left my bike outside and for a minute to get into my front door to open the garage door. I got my bike inside and stayed inside the house, leaving the door to my garage unlocked because we typically lived in a safe neighborhood. We did have a few mishaps, but that's another story for another day. I remember I went upstairs to get dressed into some more comfy clothes, then I played on my PC for a bit. It was only about 10 minutes of me being home when I heard my door open and someone had clearly come inside. I heard footsteps for a moment and then soon after I heard nothing. I called out for my dad, assuming he was home, and I didn't hear anything. I grabbed my phone and called my mom and asked her if Dad was home. She said he wasn't and was still with them. My skin immediately went pale, and I told her I had heard someone open the door and they had come inside. She played it off calmly, just telling me to go quietly downstairs and check it out, and then call or text her any updates. I said fine and to simply just hurry back.
I'm just saying, why would you not? Why, like, she's like, call me back. Just stay on the phone.
Yeah, stay on the phone. I wouldn't even go downstairs. Actually, I don't know.
I feel like
if I heard the door open, I would think, "Oh, mom and dad is home."
Yeah,
like I would just. But if I was calling them, they're like, "We're not home." I'd be like,
Free?
"Who is it then?"
I know, but
why would you leave your garage open and not at least lock the door into the house?
I know. That's weird.
Why do you even leave the garage door open?
Yeah, shut it. Like
it
they
takes
can
4 seconds to open. It's not worth it.
For real. And so many things can get stolen.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you keep in the garage.
So many. I mean, your car. If you have one of those garage door openers in your car, they can take that. But that's happened. My dentist was telling me about that. That happened in our neighborhood. People leave their garage doors open, and people would come in and take their garage door open out of the car. Worst nightmare unlocked. New nightmare. Literally unlocked. I quickly grabbed a small bat we keep in the corner of our room since we have had other incidents happen before. I quietly snuck down the stairs and saw a
Hold
faint...
on. If you have other incidents, why wouldn't you just shut it?
Yeah. Yeah, what the heck? If I ever had one incident... Actually, I'm so paranoid that...
I would not have
no
any.
incident would have happened because I would always shut my door and lock my door, and I check my doors a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I
check
the garage door.
The doors before I go to bed?
A lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know why if you had an incident you wouldn't just immediately lock the door every time, but... I quietly snuck down the stairs and saw a faint shadow against a half wall that led into our kitchen. I thought nothing of it till a stair squeaked and the shadow quickly looked like it had ran away. The scariest thing to me was I never heard the garage door reopen or shut, and there was no one in the garage or outside. The thought of a ghost or someone possibly living in that house kept me awake all night. Fast forward to today, I was right to be terrified. We moved out of that house since we only rented it, and a new person wanted to buy it. She did an insulation inspection, and what they had found was a small area behind the pantry and the walls where someone had been found living in.
No, that's one of my fears.
Oh my gosh, that's literally the story of The Boy. Have you watched that movie?
Yeah, we watched it together.
Is the story. That is that.
Oh my gosh, it literally is.
They found food, a sleeping bag, bits of garbage, and bags filled with clothes. I have never been so thankful to move.
Oh my gosh, and he knew. He's like, I've always been scared to
I just got like
living.
chills. What is up?
That's
if I ever... Okay, maybe I'm only going to move
fears.
into a new house. I'm only moving into a new house.
Well, you have to get it checked thoroughly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not
and
really saying
change the
I'm
locks.
only. Yeah, for sure.
Always. After you move into anywhere, you change the locks.
Yeah, good point. We were the first people to live in my house, so it wasn't like...
that's... Yeah.
Who has the locks? No one.
Nobody.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Ew.
I want to know, like...
Did they, like, get into the house? Is that the incident they started living there, or they lived there before? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, right. I don't know. That's interesting. I wonder what the other mishaps were.
I'm probably the same person.
Probably. It was probably things that were related to that you just like, that's weird.
And they gotta be stealing your food and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Do you think that, but every time you're gone, every time you're not home, they come out.
Yep.
How did they get out? Like, what do they mean they found... How were they in the walls behind the pantry? Was there a hole in the pantry that somehow... That just gives me, like, all the creeps.
Or, like, some attic door or something. I don't even know.
But does that also mean it had access to the outside of the house? Like, they needed to, like,
get
a little bit more...
Know.
Because does that mean they got access from outside and then were able to be inside? That's terrifying. I want to know how that happened. Like, I wish she had explained more on how they got in and where they could get into the house.
Room.
Through the garage?
Creep-y.
I would pass away. Like, seriously, if you found that out while you were living there, though, what do you do? Call the police, obviously, but like, still. I would not feel comfortable living there after that.
No. No way.
Wow.
That one's
good.
crazy.
That
is good.
All right. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right, this next story is called, As a Native, I think me and my mother may have had close calls with skinwalkers and wendigos, and it's by a Weird Doggo 64. And I'm excited for this one because I am very interested in skinwalkers and they creep me the heck out.
Yeah, it's
and
like
I've told so many people about skinwalkers because...
And you're like, I'm going to have 10 million house lights.
I know. I'm like, when I get my own house, I am going to have floodlights around the whole house and I'm going to leave them on all the time.
And or your neighbors are going to hate you.
I'm not going to leave them on all the time, but I'll at least have an ability to easily turn them on. Because, you know, like, houses now are, like, very modern.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds stupid, but you can control everything with your phone. You can see if your garage door is shut with your phone. Do you know how nice that would be? Do you know how many times I leave home and I'm like, did I shut the garage? Then you have to go back. So, yes, I would love that. But, yeah, skinwalkers are very creepy to me. If I live anywhere that's like Native American burial ground or near any of that type of stuff, I am going to have those lights for sure. Anyways, okay, so the story starts off. My family has lived in Iowa since July 2017, and we live in a small neighborhood with a minimum of 25 houses, and it is surrounded by a forest. I've seen many horror movies, and most of the movies are usually in a forest, so my paranoia was already alarmed. A year into living in Iowa, our dog was getting really old, so we got another dog so our old dog would have a friend. We named our new dog Tucker, and he is a very energetic dog with everyone and everything. Our old dog died a couple of months later, and Tucker was the only interactive pet we have. A couple of years later, my mom and dad got divorced, and she moved on to a guy that lives a couple of miles from our house. My mom and dad settled on a schedule on what day they can spend the day with us, while the other goes somewhere else for a couple of days. For context, my mom's side is Native, and we believe in the lore of skinwalkers and wendigos. On one of my mom's days, she drives up this road where it's surrounded by a bunch of trees and a couple of houses and 2 farms. There's a hill on this road that she has to drive up, and as my mom drove up the hill, she saw something in a field near the neighborhood. What she saw was tall, gray-skinned, had deer hooves as feet, and it was walking into the woods. My mom was confused, and when she reached a stop sign, she looked back in her mirror, and nothing. Now my mom was scared, because she remembered all the stories of the Wendigo and drove off to our house. When she told me this, I was already scared because of the stories I've heard on YouTube. As she told the story, I remembered the skinwalker, mostly all of the stories of the encounters I had found on YouTube. After this, I was extremely cautious when I was outside on my bike rides. Without thinking, I rode my bike near the hill, where my mom saw the possible Wendigo. I brought my camera to take pictures of the landscape because it was nice out, but my paranoia was going off when I was near the field, and I always trust my paranoia. As I rode off, I felt like I was being watched when I rode past the field.
Ew, I hate that feeling.
I know. A couple of days later, it was nighttime, and my dog had to go outside to go to the bathroom. I put my dog on a leash that is connected to the porch and let Tucker out. I turned on a light that was outside so I could see what Tucker was doing, but I was cooking food in the kitchen, so I had to focus on that. And when my food was finished, I heard my dog start barking at something, so I walked towards the door to see what he was doing. Oh, I'm getting chills.
I know.
This reminds me of another skinwalker story. Tucker is barking at something in the dark. I opened the door and told Tucker to stop barking and get inside. After telling him to get inside, he kept barking at something in the darkness. My paranoia kicked in and I shouted out for him to get inside, but he kept barking. I started to get scared and I finally looked into the darkness to see nothing but eyes shining from the porch light. As I saw those eyes, an instinct kicked in to pull on the leash and scream out, "Get inside!" Finally, Tucker responds by reacting to the pull of the leash and running towards the door, and I slammed the door as soon as Tucker ran inside. I shut the porch light off and took the leash off his collar, locked every single door and window in the house, and covered every window and anything that you can look through. After Tucker was off the leash, he ran downstairs into our basement, so I grabbed my food and went downstairs to keep an eye on my dog.
Aren't lights
That's
better,
scary.
though?
For sure I would rather have the lights on, because if you can't see what's around you, I'd rather see what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather not see anything. But I want the lights on, because if there is something out there...
closer.
No,
with the light on.
Oh.
Did it come closer when the light came off?
Ew, I feel like it would be more likely to.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
Because now you can't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why you would turn the lights off. Even if it was a person.
I know.
They're more likely to run if the lights are on. For sure.
I know. Like, keep the lights on. I would not turn them off.
No way. No way
Ew.
at all. That's so crazy. I can't imagine having that experience. I love skinwalker stories, though. I want to do like
They're
a podcast
so scary.
episode on just skinwalkers one time.
We should.
But
they're so creepy.
They're so creepy. And then we can like talk about like the background and history of them too, which would be super interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, next story. All right.
That's all the stories we have for today.
We hope you have enjoyed listening to these fun, spooky-ooky stories.
If you have any suggestions for episodes or story ideas, our email is in our bio.
We would love to hear from you guys.
To end on a funny note, we have some bloopers from this episode.
Thank you. Next.
3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Welcome to Background Noise. This is a podcast about literally anything and can be listened to while you are doing... Oh my gosh, I can't do... While you are doing... And your chair's making noises.
It's making awful sounds. I feel like... Why is there not another chair? Because there's that one. It's literally making...
It's fine. You want to switch chairs?
I'm not even moving when it makes sounds,
Here,
though.
you use this one.
No, I'll just use that one.
It's fine.
No, it's fine. I got it.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to Chili's.
We're in an office. It's fine. We can say that later. Why is it still going?
3, 2, 1. Hello.
Welcome to Background Noise. This is a podcast about literally anything and can be listened to while you are doing literally anything.
We're just two best friends who love to talk.